Hey everybody, it's Christoph Wrights with Fighting Cancer with Poetry. I am super excited tonight to be hosting the Poetry-A-Thon hosted by The Poet Life, presenting Fighting Cancer with Poetry. But as you can see here, I'm not alone. I am with a friend. He is the founder of Stillbrave Childhood Cancer Foundation. And his name is Tom Mitchell, affectionately known as Tattoo Tom. What's going on, Tom?
Hey man, how are you? I'm not sure why they call me that. My big joke is I wish they called me Handsome Tom or Rich Tom. That'd be good.
Hey,
but
throw those AKAs. That's AKA Handsome Tom, Rich Tom.
Thanks.
Yeah. Really excited to be here tonight, man. We have some amazing artists, and we have an even more amazing cause. What's the cause, man? What are we doing?
So I'm the director of Stillbrave Childhood Cancer Foundation, and Stillbrave is a foundation based in the Washington, D.C. area, and we primarily serve the entire DMV, providing non-medical support to children with cancer and their families. So we're kind of a unique foundation in that we're in the trenches, by the bedside, in the house, helping with the day-to-day stuff that oftentimes gets overlooked. We like to say we fight the lesser battles so that their families can focus on the really important things.
Awesome. That is amazing. Where can people donate? Because that's what this is for. It's a poetry-thon, and we're using poetry to raise funds and awareness. Where can people donate, like right now?
So right now you can go directly to our website, stillbrave.org. Click on the donate tab. In that donate tab, a bunch of different boxes will pop up. If you wanted to specifically donate to a particular program or service that Stillbrave offers, you'll have that option. We also have a general donate tab that you can donate. Super easy, super user-friendly. Stillbrave.org. Click the donate tab.
You heard the man. Please, right now, go to stillbrave.org. It's right there in the background, stillbrave.org. Listen, we're about to get into some awesome, amazing poetry from poets from around the world. Literally, we have a poet from the UK.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's awesome. The awesome power of social media and the internet, and the blessing behind COVID-19, because we now see that we can do a lot with what we have. And so without any further ado, you know what, Tom? Let's start off with your poem.
Okay, man. All right. Well, hope you guys get something out of it. It's pretty powerful, pretty important poem to me. I'd like to say my daughter wrote most of it.
Awesome. Let's check it out.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Mitchell. They call me Tattoo Tom. I'm the director of Stillbrave Childhood Cancer Foundation. I want to thank my good friend Christoph and the Poet Life for choosing Stillbrave as the recipient of this Poetry-A-Thon fundraiser. And also I want to thank you guys for taking the time to submit your poems, particularly those that are related to cancer. As you know, I lost my daughter to childhood cancer back in 2009. And when my daughter died, I wondered why somebody didn't do something. And then I realized I am somebody. So I do some things every now and then. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to read one of my poems for you in conjunction with the Poetry-A-Thon. I hope you like it. He crept into our world like a thief in the night, yet he had no want of gold. He took my daughter's life. I didn't see him coming, for he walked a quiet mile. Can he hear me cry at night? I wonder, does he smile? You see, there really is a boogeyman from underneath the bed. He was the cancer inside my daughter. He's the fear inside my head. He chose to torture a child, quite a coward's prey. But he overlooked one small thing, and he'll regret that day. You see, he forgot about a father's love, because that father was me. An unfortunate miscalculation. You see, I'm not who I used to be. I think he thought I'd run away or try to pass the buck. But instead I looked him in the eyes and said, let's fight, you punk. A father and his daughter became what cancer can never be. Two souls in communion, she and I became we. Two souls in communion, she and I became we. Still brave, Shayla. Still brave.
Wow. That poem was amazing, Tom.
Thanks, man.
What made you write that?
So, and I was feeling a lot, obviously, in the situation that I was in. And while I'm not, I don't fancy myself a poet, but I do use poetry as an outlet, as therapy. And I always have since I was a kid. And maybe it's not fair to say I'm not a poet. Maybe if you write poetry, you are a poet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it was just a great outlet for me. It was a way to put all my thoughts and get them out. Otherwise, like a lot of poets, if you hold that stuff in, you don't want your head to pop off. You know what I mean? So it was a wonderful outlet for me, and also was a way to fight back. I felt it empowered me. That poem empowered me. And so that's sort of where it came from and where it was birthed.
Awesome. Man, that was a perfect way to start off the Poetry-A-Thon. We asked everybody to check that link out where it says donate now at stillbrave.org. We are doing a lot of things. I know Stillbrave is doing a lot of things in the childhood cancer arena, and it's really important, especially now with COVID-19 halting a lot of fundraisers. Nonprofits are getting hit super hard. So if you do not mind, please donate right now at stillbrave.org. Let's check out the next poem.
All right.
My name's Over the Poet. I have a very close relationship with fighting cancer with poetry. I'm a proud brand ambassador for fighting cancer with poetry. I've also lost my mom to cancer, which is the inspiration for this piece that I'm going to share. It's simply entitled Mama, and the sole purpose of me writing this is for you at home or watching or wherever you are receiving this to hear some of your mom in this or that motherly figure in your life, right? So, Mama. The way she juggled kids, groceries, and dry cleaning, she be magician. How she hold baby, fold clothes, and do dishes. How she read, clean, and check your homework. And when bellies get to rumbling, she show you how the stove work. You misbehave, you get to see how the belt work. Make work 9 to 5 seem easy like breathing, but still find time to surprise her kids every single season. Looking daunting, tad straight, bold face in the eye. Tired as ever, frustrated but never cry. Hardships never cry. And even when relationships sank with everyone aboard, she never died. Her battle cry, be Junior. God don't give you no more than you could bear. Spin that early Langston Hughes in my ear. See, life ain't no crystal stair, but with her crystal glare, made me always feel important. Told me young I was a king and walked like one, and eventually a queen would come and add adornments to your crown. Always smiling, seldom frown. She'd be amazing and hospitable as long as my homework was finished. She kept me reading and told me good grades are my business. I witnessed her not eat or sleep for 24 hours, full-time at work and school, then coming home to a Ninja Turtle / Ghostbusters feud. And even though she was super tired, she'd scream aloud, put all doubt to rest. Y'all know Power Rangers rule, not knowing she was training Rangers how to tap into the power God gave them. At all stages, giving advice. In her last stage, she said, baby, make sure one day you find a wife. For the rest of my life, I vow to make her proud. On behalf of my mom and any mothers in the crowd, stand up right now wherever you at and take your bow. I'm Over the Poet. Thank you.
That right there was an amazing poem. I could feel everything that person wrote. Man, that's good stuff. See, that's what fighting cancer with poetry is. It allows the person writing the poem to release and express themselves, but also inspire others in the process. So let me ask you, Tom, talk about the origin of Stillbrave. How did that come about?
Okay, so I mean, the short version of the story is I was a single dad when my daughter was diagnosed, and so I wasn't able to work, and I was taking her to her treatments 5 days a week. Sometimes they were 7-8-hour chemotherapy infusions, and then when we'd come home, it would be her trying to recover from the chemotherapy, which required me to be there with her 24 hours a day. So I just couldn't work. I mean, the bottom line is I couldn't leave her to work, and for a while we got some assistance from some family members and things like that. But I mean, sometimes these cancer treatments go on and on. And, I mean, it got to the point where we weren't getting the help like we were at first, not through nobody's fault of their own. But it got to the point where we were actually getting food from a food bank. And, it was tough because my daughter, when you go through chemotherapy, you have certain, you crave something, or when you do feel like eating, you crave a certain thing. And I really couldn't provide that for her sometimes, so I really saw some of the hardships that families face, and particularly single parent families, and families that maybe are close to that poverty line before a diagnosis or can be devastated by it. So anyway, longer story short, there was a foundation. There weren't very many foundations around back then. Social media wasn't as big as it is today. This was in like 2007. But there was a foundation that helped us out. And they gave us, I think, was $1,400 to cover my rent one month. And I'm so, I'm, like I said in another interview with you, like I'm working on my humility, but I'm a man and I'm proud. And it was hard for me to take that money. And as soon as I did take it, because I had to for my daughter, I mean, I would do anything for her, right? So I humbled myself, but I wanted to pay that money back. I was determined to pay it back. So I had been boxing as a kid, and I went back to boxing when my daughter got sick so that I could, just some way to blow off steam and some therapy and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not a great fighter, and I was in my 40s at the time, but I know how to throw a straight punch, and I understand the chess match that is boxing. And I met a fellow named Jimmy Lang, who was a big boxer in the DMV at the time. He was on that show, The Contender, for a while. Just a great guy, all around great guy. And he would come visit my daughter at the hospital, and she had a little crush on him. It was cool. But he came to the gym, and he saw me throwing punches, and we started talking, and we came up with this idea that I was going to fight on his card at the Patriot Center. Wow. So at 40-some years old, I got my pro card. I was a pro boxer. And my daughter, I fought 2 fights at the Patriot Center, and my daughter walked me to the ring that first fight, one of the proudest moments of my life. Unfortunately, I did get TKO'd in that fight because boxing is not wrestling. Ain't nobody faking it. Right. So the guy that I was fighting for his record. While he was a good guy and he was sympathetic to what was going on, he had to protect his record. And he hit me hard, man. He hit me real hard. And then, unfortunately, my daughter passed away before my second fight. But what I wound up doing is I wound up raising over $20,000 between those 2 fights. And I gave every penny of that money back to that foundation that had given us the $1,200 or $1,400. So I paid them back with a little bit of interest. And then we got the name Stillbrave in between those fights right before my daughter passed away. It's kind of a sad story. But I came home from a trip to the pharmacy one night, found her tangled up in her oxygen line. She had fallen trying to go to the toilet. Mm-hmm. So I washed her and changed her, and put her in the bed. And as I was laying her down in the bed, she whispered in my ear, she said, "I'm still brave, right, Dad? I'm still brave." And I knew that she was still brave. But like I told you before, that it dawned on me in that moment, the whole time, she wasn't being brave for herself, man. Nah, man, she was being brave for me.
Right.
And I made a pact at that moment that I was going to be brave, that I was going to be still brave for every other family that was going to walk down them same pathways that we did.
Please do us a favor. Donate now at stillbrave.org. Listen, we're going to jump right in to the next poet. Really excited about what they have to say, what they have to write about, and what was on their heart when they wrote. Let's check them out.
Hi, my name's Olivia. I'm from New Jersey, and today I'm going to be reading an original poem that I just recently wrote called A Girl in the Sky. This poem is extremely important to me because it is about my older sister, Alexa, who turned 18 in September. Here she is. When Alexa was 23 months old, she died of neuroblastoma, so it was just shy of her 2nd birthday, and I was born about a year and a half later. I feel like as her little sister, it's really important for me to carry on her legacy and to share her story with others, hence the reason we have Alexa's Butterfly Friends in memory of her, and this poem is really important to me, so I hope you all like it. I talk to you all the time, and I know you're always there for me. You're there for my joys and my triumphs, my faults and my sorrows, and times where I feel like I couldn't breathe. You're there to support me and love me for who I am, even in times when I feel like others can't. You've seen me blossom, and you've seen me grow. You've seen me make friends and get rid of my foes. You've shown me love and given me a reason to hope. You show me how to be brave and different ways to cope. But you've done this all up in the sky with your angel wings, but I still wish you were here, even if that meant I couldn't have other things. I know you're up there having fun and dancing in the clouds, and more than likely making fun of me because I'm always a little too loud. Cancer took you way too soon, and I realized a lot of things it actually couldn't do. It can't ruin our relationship, and it can't break our bond. Because of you, I've learned how to make the most of this life. Even though the thought of you not being here makes me cry, I still always know you'll be my girl in the sky.
An amazing poem, yet another amazing poem. Man, these poets are amazing, man. I'm so glad that we did this event. And listen, folks, if you have not donated yet, if you have, still donate again. Donate now at stillbrave.org. Tom, tell me about the services that you all provide at Stillbrave.
Okay, well, Stillbrave does a variety of things, and we don't like to box ourselves in too much because we're the foundation that always shows up when nobody else does, and so we do a lot of unusual things. But some of our staple services are we provide assistance with financial matters like rent, car repairs, gas cards, grocery cards. Will help pay for utilities, and sadly, Stillbrave pays for way too many funerals. But in addition to the financial piece of what we do, we offer programs for instance, for the brothers and sisters of children with cancer. We have a program called our All-Star Sibling Program, and we'll put on events and different types of outreaches for the brothers and sisters to go, because oftentimes their lives are completely overshadowed by their siblings' diagnosis and treatments. So we've gone like indoor skydiving, we've gone bowling, pizza parties. We've just done as many things as we can come up with. Sometimes I'll take a brother or sister out to the movies or, something along those lines, just to sort of to celebrate and empower them. We do that. One of the things that I'm really good at, and I'd be hard pressed to tell you why, because nobody's more surprised than me, but I'm good at the bedside thing. Like I'll go to the hospitals and visit with the kids and their families. I'll go to the clinics and play Barbies and Crazy Eights, and I mean, that's one of the things. So I consider myself an in the trenches kind of guy. And it's hard to quantify exactly what that entails unless you're there and you feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's hard to quantify it in words. That piece of it, that's a huge piece of what we do. It's that stuff we don't post about on Facebook. You know what I mean? That's the heartbeat of Stillbrave for sure. A great story, man. There's a girl that I met. She was 6 months old. Her name is Sydney, and she had infantile leukemia. And I started visiting her at the hospital from the time she was 6 months old. And I kid you not, her mom just messaged me this morning. She's, I guess she's 7 now, in the first grade. And her mom showed me her school project. She got award for like Star of the Week at her school. And so she had to talk about her hero. And man, she talked about me. And I mean, I've known this kid since she was 6 months old, and we had our own language. Like she wasn't able to talk yet, but we just had this unspoken language, and it used to freak her mom out.
Right.
She's like, you guys are like talking your own language.
Right.
And that's what I mean. It's hard to quantify that piece of what Stillbrave does. It's, nobody's more surprised than me, but I just show up, man, and I do it. And that's probably the heartbeat of Stillbrave for sure.
Right. I know you don't like that title, man. I know you don't like the title of superhero, but to the children, that's who you are.
Well, I'm not crazy about it, but her mom showed me that schoolwork and the things that kid, I mean, turned me into incomprehensible goo for about 10 minutes. And I was just like, to think that I impact that child's life in that way, and it's a great story because she's 7. She's been in remission for several years. She's in school. She's Star of the Week. With all the sad stories that I've told you already, all the funerals. I mean, it's so great when we have stories like that. That where the outcome is awesome.
Wow, amazing. As you can hear, all of what Stillbrave does and who they are. If you don't mind, please right now donate to stillbrave.org. As you can tell, Tattoo Tom has a passion for what he does. He has a why, he has a reason, and I'm sure it's pouring through the screen. So again, please donate to stillbrave.org. Let's flow right into the next poet. the next
right,
writer, the next artist. Really excited to hear what this person has to say. Yes, let's check it out.
All right.
My name is Chris Timothy. I'm a poet and writer by the name of Prophecy based out of my hometown of Macon, Georgia. Today, my inspiration for writing this poem is all of the legends who have battled cancer. Those who passed, but as well as those who did not. Allow me to show you. Chadwick Aaron Bozeman, born November 29th, 1976. A man dedicated to change, to love, and to healing. From playing Jackie Robinson to James Brown, Thurgood Marshall to our King T'Challa, this man paved the way for little black boys and girls to feel comfortable and special in their own skin. A legend passed due to colon cancer in the year 2020. John Robert Lewis, one of the Big Six, who planned the March on Washington alongside Martin Luther King, the man to lead the first Selma March in 1965, a man whose steps echo into our generation as a giant in the civil rights era. A legend passed due to pancreatic cancer in the year 2020. Aretha Franklin, pancreatic cancer, 2018. Bob Marley, melanoma skin cancer, 1981. The list does go on. Heroes in our community who lost their lives to this disease, but let this be a message of hope. Despite their ailments, each one of these people continue to fight and smile and inspire until their very last days. And I promise you, every single one of them will tell you, don't give up. If you have been diagnosed with cancer, do not give up. Do not stop fighting. Your life is not meaningless, and cancer is not a death sentence. Robert De Niro, Wanda Sykes, Mr. T, all survivors. You can do this. I know at times it must feel hopeless, but what is life if not lived? And when there is hope, there is a will to go on. You are so much more than just a cancer patient, and your strength can inspire generations and generations to keep their heads held high just like you. You are a hero of your own story, and you inspire all of us with your strength. God bless you. God bless your strength and your willpower. You are an inspiration to the world. You mean everything. Thank you.
Yet another amazing writer. Great performance. Really excited about what's to come next. But I want to ask you, Tom, when I first met you, actually it was digitally. I met you on Facebook. I saw one of your TED Talks, and the title was different from the actual message. Tell me the dynamic of that.
Okay, so that was probably my second TEDx talk. And it was called Guns, Abortion, Gay Rights, and some other things. So I threw all these things out there because those are the topics that Americans love to debate ad nauseum, right? I mean, that's where the tension is in those types of things. So my idea was to title my TEDx talk that, and then when you tuned into it, all poised and ready to argue me about it, I was going to flank you with the childhood cancer statistics and facts. And quite frankly, what is the travesty of childhood cancer treatment in this country today? And I can throw some simple facts at you that will devastate you. For instance, did you know that Americans spend 20 times more money annually on potato chips than we do on childhood cancer research? Now, I like potato chips, right? Everybody does, but I like my children better. 20 times as much money on potato chips that we do on childhood cancer research. Americans spend just about the same amount of money annually on Halloween costumes for their pets that this country devotes to childhood cancer research. The toxic treatments that they euphemistically call medicine, but aren't medicine at all. They're, quite frankly, they're poison. They were derived from mustard gas back in the First World War. We're still using those 20, 30, 40-year-old outdated treatments on our children. There's chemical weapons that mustard gas, that you wouldn't use that on your worst enemy, right? It's become inhumane to use those things even in times of war. But they're the go-to medicines for children with cancer and their families. No, I don't understand. You know what I mean? So I'm that guy, man, and I'm out there, and oftentimes you'll see me in the hospital playing Barbies and Crazy Eights, but other times you'll see me marching with a bullhorn and a sign down in DC, asking people, where's the sense in this? Our children aren't dying because there's nothing we can do, man. Our children are dying because we aren't doing anything.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, I gave a little. That's a hard line for me, man, because it's especially now in this country where everything is so crazy and so polarized, and everybody's political this and this and race, all this stuff going on. Who's getting lost in that flotsam and jetsam? It's our children.
Right.
They're the ones that are getting lost, and I just can't.
I completely understand, man. Everybody, you can hear the passion, the love, the urgency in Tattoo Tom's voice and presentation, man. If you felt any of that, even if you didn't, please still donate. Donate now.
I heard a great line yesterday, and it was funny because it was rather timely. And I wish I could remember who the quote was from, but the guy says, "If you can't be the poet, be the poem."
Whoa.
So that's what I'm looking for today. That's why I showed up here today, is I want you guys to be the poem.
Whoa.
Okay, we can't do the things that we do without awesome help from people like you. So please donate. Please take a few minutes. Don't get that bag of potato chips today. Kick down that money to Stillbrave so we can use it in a very impactful way, a profound and impactful way.
If you cannot be the poet, be the poem.
That's
man.
Good, right?
Oh, that's very good.
I'm gonna look that up and I'm gonna tell you who said it later. But
please
that's
do.
Quote,
send that to me, please, because I may have to reach out to him and let him know that's gonna be a T-shirt.
That's a good quote. Sure. I read it. It was timely. I was like, I just read it yesterday. I was like, man, when the universe conspires to do something, it makes it quite clear that, so I saw it. I was like, I'm totally going to tell Christoph this line. I know.
Most definitely. Yeah, definitely. Listen, folks, we are going to the next writer, the next poet. Let's check them out. Let's see what they have to say.
Hey, I'm Jessie Summer Hayes, and I wrote this poem to try and show that beauty is to be found even in a situation of utter hopelessness. Here it is. Crumpled paper tubes of his bones, folding up, and each breath shows the quiet candle burning inside, colliding with the ink that lies on the veins, sweet promises of time, breathe so softly with the quiet wine of metal holding your hand like mine. Light is fading at the darkening gate. Silent tears plead with the candle to wait. Hopeless steps shape the curve in the path. A broken wing, feathers so gently carved, with the splintered shards of the lump in my throat, choking on the cold that flies on the air, floating in the ragged sea of my hair, resting over the clothes you wear. Head a stone on your sleeve, weighing you down, weave, no, embroidering your light with a clumsy hand, into the ghostly shadows of hopes and plans. The sun is setting on the blinded hill. Greying grass is standing still. And will your clothes hold it steady? Your flickering light, half gone already. Thank you.
Yet another amazing poet, another amazing writer. Man, this is awesome. A Poetry-A-Thon. I've heard of telethons and runathons and things of that nature, but a Poetry-A-Thon. And it's going so well so far, but we have some poets to go. But I want to ask you, Tom, everybody can tell, how you feel about what you do. But the question is, how do you do what you do? How are you able to go to these funerals and these hospitals to see these children, in these states?
All right, so I get asked that question a lot. That because I think it's hard for some people to, when you have to think about children being sick, and in often cases, the outcomes aren't good. That's hard for people because it forces us to look at our own mortality, right? So it's hard. And if you have children that don't have cancer, it also forces you to kind of look at things that you don't want to look at with regards to your own children, right? So it's hard for people, and I get that, but let me give it to you this way. A hospice nurse who her life every day is taking care of and assisting the dying, right? That's their job, man. I don't think I could do that every day, all day. But hospice workers can. They can do it. They're built that way. And they feel in their heart an obligation to do that because they're capable of it. The same way that maybe, this is a bad analogy, but maybe a mortician or somebody that worked in the funeral business. For a lot of people, that would be really difficult, hard work. But there are certain people that are just built that way. And for better or for worse, Christoph, I was built for this. I don't understand it. Nobody, again, is more surprised than me, man. I'm a tattooed knucklehead. I used to sing in punk rock bands and run around DC, like a crazy person in my younger days. I don't understand why my life has taken the trajectory that it has, but I do understand that I can do it, and the best analogy that I can give you is, I survived my daughter's death. I didn't think I was going to be able to get out of bed the day after my daughter died. And quite frankly, I only got out of the bed to use the bathroom, and I went back into the bed. And I stumbled from the bathroom to the bed for weeks, and I didn't think I was ever going to be able to go outside of the house, but eventually I did, man. I got up and I stumbled, and then I walked, and then I ran. And then I was able to turn this around and start helping other families. Losing my daughter was the worst pain that I've ever gone through. So when I go to the hospitals and these clinics, it hurts as much for me as it would hurt for you, but you've never lost a child, so you don't know that level of pain that I know, right? So once you've been to that level of pain, once you've been to that 16th level of hell or whatever you want to call it, to do things that don't hurt as badly, you're capable, man. And I have an obligation to do it based on that, simply based on the fact that I can, my biggest fear, obviously, is that I would lose another child to something like that, right? But as hard as this is to say out loud, I also know from my experience that I could get through that, right? So that would be the worst case scenario for me. So while I go and I visit these other kids, and it's heartbreaking, and I love these kids just like my own, but there's just that fine line where it doesn't hurt quite as much. And my rubber band has already been stretched to that place. So I know I can go there. And I'm not good at anything else, man, but I'm good at this.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are very good at what you do. And the people that support you and follow you absolutely love you. Man.
I got a savage tribe, that's for sure, man. My people, my t-shirt says that we practice savage kindness. And the people that do support Stillbrave and the people that follow Tom Mitchell and Tattoo Tom, they are savage and they are kind. And we've got quite a tribe of like-minded individuals who support not only the work we do with cancer, but, across the board, that savage kindness mentality, that uniting people, that common denominator that we're all the same. Like I belong to a really amazing tribe. I'm lucky they let me be a part of it, quite frankly.
We're going to jump right into the next poet. Let's check him out.
All right, let's do it.
My name is Poetic Prez, and I'm from Queens, New York. Where would we be had you survived? This is a question I struggle with every January 18th. Today marks the day your young mother pushed you from one plane to the next, welcoming unknowingly a brief force. The laughs, the work, the the days exploring and stepping out of comfort zones, trying our hand at acting and singing. You made me feel like it was okay to be unapologetically myself, and I encourage you to do the same. We used to guide kids as campus life leaders and then steal our mom's cars that same weekend. We got our first jobs together, called each other right after our first entanglement with a woman, and rode mopeds through Martha's Vineyard to get backdoor donuts. We didn't always agree. We didn't sometimes talk, but we were each other's measuring tape, driven by each other's impact and audacity to impact the world. We reconnected after a year of stubborn pride, and to my recollection, not having the courage to say goodbye. You see, senior year was our first without each other, and concurrently the most important decision-making year at that point. See, he'd ended up at the HBCU we agreed on, Hampton University, and I couldn't make it there, at least financially. So after those first 2 semesters, we connected back in Queens, home for the summer. And that summer was dope. We picked up like no time had passed, and before we knew it, you were diagnosed. Lymphoma. This word tasted funny on my tongue. I guess I didn't register the impending threat. Not until your body started to attack you in front of my eyes, and your emaciated frame looked up at me from the hospital bed, still trying to be tough and crack jokes. Remission. And again, it returned. This time, a bigger monster. The fatal stage leukemia was next. I was well into fall semester of sophomore year. I told you I was going to pledge and get all the ladies and bring you back to campus to bask in our new level of greatness. But by the time I'd finished, you'd be back in the hospital bed. This time with a tube down your throat, discolored, weightless, in a room surrounded by family, gospel music, and machines. It was today, your birthday, that I helped you as your scribe to translate your messages to the room. Still with the jokes and positive attitude, you told us you were getting out of there. And you were right. I took part of your spirit with me back to Jersey. Back to school, I promised myself before any thing like that happened to me, because I was bound to be next. You see, we lived the same life almost. I would live each day with humility and gratitude. I didn't visit often because I saw myself in the body of my brother, clinging to life. And we spoke via text, Twitter, but I couldn't bring myself to watch you die. And you held on until you summoned me back. I swear to God, you knew how to make an exit just as bodaciously as you made most entrances. 6 days before my birthday, your mom called me at school. I don't particularly remember where I was, but I remember the softness and tremble in her voice when she gave me the news. I remember rushing home in the pouring rain, trying to get back to Queens in disbelief, crying the whole way. On my birthday, we buried you. A drive that to the cemetery felt like forever. A service that was all too familiar from the times you brought me to the church you grew up in. The rawness of the irony on this day of my life, sending a single yellow rose down with your casket to lay you to rest because of your death. I miss you, man. And I'm glad you went to Hampton and partied instead of taking your classes seriously. I would have cautioned you differently. I'm grateful to have known you, and I appreciate our shared appreciation and expectation of each other. I still carry you with me in all that I do. Till next time, my brother, Mr. Kwasi Armani Peku.
Yet another amazing poet, man. Where I don't even know where I'm finding these poets, man. Like it's just on another level, you know, and not just the performances, but the heart in the poetry, the passion.
Feel it.
Yeah, definitely. And to be able to direct it to the cause, you know, because there was once upon a time where you didn't know too many people that were affected by cancer, but now you don't know too many people who aren't.
Yeah, everybody knows somebody, man. It's not rare, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You do a lot, Tom. You raise funds in many different ways.
Right.
What's one of the more extreme ways that you raise funds for cancer?
You can look at me and you might be able to guess. I probably don't have a lot of bake sales, right? So I don't do a lot of those types of things. Although I used to be a chef, I can cook, but we don't hold a lot of bake sales. We try to, we promote ourselves as the Renegade Foundation. We are outside the box. So one of the things that I've done that's been extremely successful over the past, I don't know how, 7 or 8 years, I guess, is I run long distance ultra marathons. So an ultra marathon is anything beyond a traditional marathon. So it could be 50K, 50 miles, 100 miles. And now I'm so embedded in, I'm running 200, 240 mile races. And these aren't the types of races where you run 10 miles and then you go sleep for 8 hours and then you get up and start running again. These are timed races that require me to run for 4 days straight, with an hour of sleep, if I'm lucky, just to stop the hallucinations. And one of the neat things about this format is that we dedicate each of those miles to a different child who's either fighting cancer or has lost their battle to cancer. And my daughter is always the last mile in the race. And I actually, Christoph, I carry pictures with me of these children. So for mile 10 through mile 20, I carry 10 pictures with me. And when I acknowledge those children at every mile, I mean, I take the time and we post on our Facebook their stories, particularly the kids that have passed away, because I think the biggest fear for parents who have lost children, not only to cancer, but who've lost children, period, is that their children will be forgotten. Like, it's funny. People sometimes they're afraid to say my daughter's name in front of me, as if I'm going to go, oh man, I forgot my daughter died. That's not true. I want you to say her name. I want you to remember her. I want you to talk about her. That's what's going to keep her alive. And so I promised my families that I would never, as long as there was breath in my body, would I let their children be forgotten. And so I don't. And I celebrate their lives and also the lives of children who were in remission, who fought hard and survived and are doing great, and the kids that are in treatment. So we've done these races now, I guess about 6 or 7 years. We've raised, close to $1 million just from the races. So they really help to sustain Stillbrave. It's not easy. I'm not crazy about it. I'm not really a runner. We used to run 2-3 miles when we boxed, right? But none of us liked it. We hated it. We just wanted to get we could go beat each other up. So I never thought that I'd get into it, but I got tired of getting hit in the face. So I started running, and then all of a sudden it just clicked. We started making money. So I run these ridiculous races up volcanoes, through the Cascade Mountains. Next year, I'm running a 240-mile ultra marathon through the Moab Desert in the state of Utah. So that's a plan. And I'm going to acknowledge these kids. What I like to say is I'm not really running 240 miles. It's not about 240 miles. It's about acknowledging the lives of 240 children.
Wow.
That's what I'm doing. I'm acknowledging their lives. And there's no other way, sans me getting cancer myself, to replicate the hardships and the struggles to quantify what that looks like. But if you follow my races and you see me suffering and you see the blisters and the hallucinations and the lack of sleep and the fear and the uncertainty, that's what children with cancer experience. So it's a way for me to replicate that in a very tangible way so that you can see, but it pales in comparison, of course, to what these children go through. But it's all I can do, and so I do it. And again, it's one of those things. I do it. I'm not crazy about it. I'd be hard pressed to explain to you the hows and whys, the nuts and bolts of it, but I can, Christoph. I can do it, so I do it.
Awesome. Let's get to the next poet. Let's see what they have to say.
Hi, my name is Shanice Morgan. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, and I wrote this poem as a one-sided letter to my grandma, who died of stomach cancer when I was 13. So this is String Bean Sundays, how I learned to hate koi fish. I don't know how to start this. I've been pulling it off to the last minute because I don't know how to write about you. You shouldn't feel like another prompt or a checkbox. You've always been a sacred place. A place I was always too afraid to touch that contains so much rage. I know if I ever wrote that I'd have to own up to everything that managed to drive me almost insane. That managed to break me down. Everything I held in and hid so no one else would see I was bleeding. But it's been 8 years. Time to ask the question. I've been too busy running away, even though I already had the answer. Grandma, do you know how many things started to die and fall apart when we found out that you had cancer? It's a time of my life I don't like to revisit. Excuse the tears in my eyes, for you will soon find out their significance. I know you don't get to choose when you die. It's not up to you or me. But God, could you have left me in worse hands at 13? Everyone grieves different. There's no pleasantries presented when death comes to take one away. Yes, there are tears, there are pleas. Why me, oh God, why me? Why not me? You shout to the heavens as your heart starts to convulse, but I'm not the one doing the shouting within these mint-colored walls. I realize something walking the halls of my mind. If you hold something in long enough, you're bound to become trapped in time. It's in my dreams you often visit, asking me how I do, giving encouragement along the way, say to make sure I don't burn myself out and stay humble every day. Everything feels like it's back in place. The house is still there. My heart isn't in tears, while the pieces of my mind finally seem at peace. Yet, this isn't all what happened, so let me finally make it clear. When you died, I learned what a war zone felt like. Spent so much time trying to figure out if the adults around me would be alright. Tucking your bottom lip. Let no one see you cry. If you lie to yourself just long enough, then everything will be alright. You see, cancer didn't just kill something in you. I think it took something out of all of us too. Killed hopes, killed dreams, broke up family legacies. Nothing left of you but sweet memories for me. No more Bible study on Tuesdays, no more summer Wednesdays spent at the food bank, no more string bean Sundays. Just bitter yelling on Mondays, threats on Thursday, and me having to remind people that for some of us weekends were always the worst days. It's with sarcasm I always said it's fun being me. Fun trying to keep your head on straight, killing yourself from the inside out every single day, reminding yourself that you deserve to be here with every shout. Everyone grieves different. I'd wish someone finally answered, what about my grievance? No grievance for me. If you don't like the way I run things, you can always leave and go where? Everyone I ever loved is already below 6 feet, and the only one left to fight the demons is me. But my conscience won't let me hate. Manifest in my heart. Hear it loud and clear. It's only been a year. You're just still grieving. You know how hard it is to listen to your heart when you're afraid to go home on the weekend. It's no one's fault, says your conscience. Well, logic tells you that those bottles of liquor and beers won't be the only option. That almost taking a bat to the head shouldn't haunt you. Ruined marriages cemented your belief that no one will ever stand by you. Everything you found sacred was never win. Grandma, if I could look you in the eye, I'd tell you everything they ever helped me lose, even down to the ring on your deathbed you let me choose. When people look at me, I want them to see a manifestation of you. All the positivity you let win. Hate never got you. I never hated them. I packed it all up and placed it on the koi fish outside the cancer treatment center instead. I don't care if they drink themselves stupid. I don't care if my therapist says my emotions are dead. I don't care if I killed myself on the inside trying to avoid the ledge. I'm happy that my teen years were rough. They made me tough. I'll meet you in my dreams. Every day there isn't positive, but it's always string bean Sundays, and I get to keep smiling.
Man, we are going back to back with amazing poets, amazing poems. Man, if you're out there and you can't be the poet today, be the poem and donate. Donate at stillbrave.org. Hey, Tom, your name is Tattoo Tom. right? Your moniker, your name that they have given you. When did they give it to you?
So so I got it back.
Tell us about the story about you and your name and the tattoos that you have.
Okay, so I got the name probably back in 2002, 2003. I owned a tattoo shop at the time, but interestingly enough, that's not where the name came from. Everybody at the tattoo shop called me Tom. But I went to work at a skydiving facility. I became a skydiver, and I went to work there as a videographer. And there was more than one Tom that worked there. And as a way to differentiate us, they would put me up on the board. Tattoo Tom is on this airplane. And it just stuck, you know. And then later on, I became the professional boxer. And so I fought under that moniker, Tattoo Tom. And then as it evolved into Stillbrave, the kids loved to call me Tattoo Tom. Like, you know, when I walk in the hospital room, they're like, Tattoo Tom is here, Tattoo Tom. Like, They love saying, and there's nothing that to me that sounds as amazing as when a child says Tattoo Tom. It just flows so good.
Yeah.
So that's how the nickname came to be. And I guess I've been called worse things. So it's not so bad, you know, it's not so bad. So I mean, I did own a tattoo shop, and I've been a tattoo collector since I was a kid, since I was a teenager. A lot of my early tattoos, you know, some of them had some meaning to me that was personal. But now what I do, all of the tattoos that I get now are directly related to childhood cancer. Wow. And what I do is another way to raise money. Again, I don't have a lot of bake sales. So once a year, I will auction off a part of my body to the highest bidder. And that person then can tattoo anything they want on that part of my body within reason. Okay, nothing inappropriate, that kind of thing. But there's been some amazing stories of some kids, you know, who raised some money. They won the auction. Some parents who lost children to cancer, they won the auction. We had one time a lady won the auction, but then she backed out and couldn't pay for it. So I was like really stuck. But my community, my tribe rallied and started donating money. And all of a sudden we had like $7,000 donated. And they let me get a tattoo specifically for this one boy who was struggling with brain cancer. So I got a big tattoo on my knee with his name on it.
Wow.
So oftentimes if I get really close to a kid, I'll get a tattoo. I'll go visit them around the country. They see me on social media, or they've been a mile in one of my races and they want to get to know me. And so I'm like, if a kid wants to, I mean, I'll charge hell with half a bucket of water and a gasoline suit for these kids. You know what I mean? And so if a kid in Colorado wants to hang out with me for a day, bro, I'm on an airplane. You know what I mean? I'm hanging out. And one of the things that we do is we go to the tattoo shop. Me and a little 10-year-old girl walk in a tattoo shop, and she'll tell the tattoo artist, put a cupcake on the back of Tattoo Tom's neck. And I'll be like, okay, man. Daisy. So I'm not going to change the world, my friend. I'm not going to touch a million lives. But if I touch one, then my life is a successful life. And I'm here to tell you, I've touched more than one, not a million, but I've touched a couple. And my life is successful for that reason. If I never do anything but help one child, one family, then I will consider this life a successful one. That's what this starfish represents to me.
Wow. The legacy that you're leaving is amazing. Well, the extension of your daughter's legacy.
Yeah. I think really, like we talked about in the podcast, you know, my daughter's life was short, but it was short and matter of fact, you know, and what she did is she groomed me and put me in a position to do the things that I do today. And I made a promise to her that I would do it. And I'm just living that promise. You know what I mean? She's doing the work. You know, I'm just showing up and winging it. Like she's doing the work, bro.
Wow. Man, we have to get to the next poet, man, because that right there was a whole poem right there, man. So let's keep it going.
All right.
Everybody get ready for the next poet. Let's check him out.
Shout out to Fighting Cancer with Poetry. This is a song from the heart, and it's dedicated to all those who battle, all those who are supporting those who have gone through. And my sister was Cedar McKinley, who just got her wings. And this song will be more of a spoken heart word from the feelings that I feel inside. And sometimes the feelings you can't hide, let them out, let them reside. So we hold on to the truth. People that went away, we thank God for their life. Today we pray with Cedar. We thank you for your beautiful world. Sisters united all around the world. Boys and girls, every day is the truth. We come together. We come together. Birds of a feather fly together. So whatever we can do, we can withstand any weather. I thank you for your heart. I thank you for your soul. I thank you for all the things you've done for the people and the children and the families. I know it took a toll, but you're here, and it's crystal clear. We walk in fear, but false evidence appearing real in the rear. Because in the front is God's eyes, and God has you. You have him, angel, eyes in the skies, looking down. Looking down. Thank you, Lord, for everything. Thank you for all the pieces coming in. Freedom reign. I know that what we're going through, we're going to get through. Tomorrow's a brighter day for me and you. Understand the truth. The truth is this. People come and they leave, we miss. But we didn't really miss, cause they hear every time that we open our heart and say thank you. I just wanna thank you. Just wanna thank you. Just wanna thank you. I say thank you for the time, and thank you for my mind, and thank you for my heart, and thank you for this rhyme, and thank you for this world, and thank you for my girl, and thank you for the things going on. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Lord, thank you, God, thank you for this, thank you for the day, and thank you for the night, thank you for the hope, and thank you for the fright. When I went left, I wasn't right. Thank you for bringing me back. Thank you for doing what you did. Matter of fact, rest in peace to all those that went away. Today we say thank you and we pray and say, fighting cancer with the poetry, you know it's me. And I know it's you. Yeah, God noticed you. Yeah, and he noticed me. Fighting cancer with poetry, you know it's me, I know it's you. That's right, God noticed you. And he noticed me. What we see. Rest in peace to my sister, and let her life be an inspiration to all those forever. Amen.
Yet another amazing poem, another amazing poet. Tattoo time. We have some amazing poets here, man.
They showed up, didn't they? They showed up.
Definitely. And for those of you out there, if you cannot be the poet, be the poem.
Oh.
Donate now to stillbrave.org. Tom, you say you're not a poet, but you have some poems in you, but so that also means that you're a writer, right? So do you plan on writing a book sometime soon?
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm actually working on a book right now.
Wow.
We're really in the development stages. We've got a photographer on board. It's a collaboration with me and a professional photographer, and she herself is a childhood cancer survivor.
Okay.
And, so it's sort of an autobiographical tale, and it's of my life, and it's going to be told through my tattoos. So it's going to be an interesting story. It's going to be many interesting stories. We touched briefly on me going to the tattoo shops with different children, things like that. So we're going to show that tattoo. Daisy, when I went to visit her in Colorado, she made me get a cupcake, and we spent the day together. And sadly, Daisy passed away, but I have great stories on what that kid did for me, because I met Daisy through my races. Like, she was a mile in my race, and then Christoph, I've been friends with her for years, and I would come home after like a really hard day, and there would be a letter from Daisy out of the blue. And she would just be like, I just want to tell you how grateful I am for what you do for us kids. And she'd send me, bracelets that she had made or things like that. And her mom posted on Facebook one time, because she was in treatment. She had a brain cancer that was pretty aggressive, but she had been in treatment for almost 6-7 years. So this funny thing about cancer, when you first get diagnosed, the whole city shows up, Team Daisy, and everybody's there. But year after year after year, there ain't that many people showing up anymore. People got lives, people got to do things. So her mom posted on Facebook one day that Daisy was really sad because she felt like she didn't have any friends. And I booked a flight to Colorado the next day. And Daisy and I had this amazing weekend. We went out to eat hibachi. We went to the movies. We got tattooed. So that'll be one of the stories that I tell in the book. And all the proceeds from the book will benefit Stillbrave. I'm not doing this, for fame or glory. I'm doing it to hopefully generate some more income for Stillbrave. Because like you mentioned, with COVID, we can't do a lot of the things. We can't have the big concerts and things that we've done in the past. So we need to be creative and throw stuff against the wall and see if it sticks. And I don't like the term. I don't like to put any kind of label on myself. If I was to put any label on myself, I would tell you I'm just a dad. I'm a dad whose daughter got sick and she died. And when she died, I wondered why somebody didn't do something. Then I realized I am somebody. So I do something, lots of somethings. So I do the races and the skydiving and the tattoos and the book and all these different things, man. Because I'm just trying to make a difference. And unfortunately, I can't do the things that I do without the help from people like you, people like our donors today. It's really, you guys are the heartbeat of Stillbrave. I really like that we've got this catchphrase because it's real matter of fact. Today, beat a poem. Y'all beat a poem. Send in a donation, whatever you can afford today. It will make a difference. And I promise you, we will put it to good use. Awesome.
You heard the man. Donate now at stillbrave.org. Let's keep it moving.
Right.
To the next poet. Let's check him out.
All right.
Hi, my name is Latrice and I am from California, and I was inspired to write this poem because I've had 2 grandmas pass away from cancer, and I still have family members that are struggling with cancer as well. So I hope you enjoy this poem. Cancer. I will forever dislike you, forcing me to look into caskets while holding fractured hearts. You invade the body, a foreigner, crossing territories you've been granted no access to, ignoring every signal. Cancer, you are unwelcome. An eviction notice has been granted. I speak to the cancer in your body and claim it dead in the name of Jesus. You are enduring. You have the force to war, to continue with the expectation that your life has value. Bravery starts in the mind. For whatever reason cancer is still lingering, remember, you are brave. You have stamina. You are courageous. No disease defines your life. Your mindset does.
We have another poet, another writer expressing themselves in a strong way with their pen. And I'm in awe, man.
Yeah, man. I feel it. I hear it, but I feel it.
Yeah.
These guys are no joke. Like, your people are no joke today.
I love this art form, man, because poetry is timeless. And I don't want to, down other art forms, but some songs are timeless.
Right.
But poetry across the board is timeless.
Yeah.
Because like with songs, you can tell it's old school. It's a song from the 70s, the 80s, but poetry doesn't really have an age on it.
Yeah, it stands the test of time, doesn't it, man? Because those feelings are forever. That's the human condition, right?
Right.
The dawn of time, and it's not dated. It's because poetry is that raw emotion. It's that feelings that we still as humans have. We have the same feelings and emotions that we did thousands of years ago.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's check out the next poet, man.
All right, let's check it out.
You are not stricken of your symptoms, but more rather driven to outlive them, to let whatever resides in you remain in remission. Take that same cry in you, using it for every sister to inspire her and uplift her. Survivors of the journey, as the world keeps turning,
So do your chapters of research and learning more of who you are. Those words are giving up. They do not fit. They never did. You see, they're much too small for the biggest of stars. When it was hard, you would rise, diminishing your scars. Survivors of the journey, I salute you. I honor and give thanks. You are the new solution to prove any doctor can make a mistake. It's not always the diagnosis, but what you do after the first chapter closes. You begin to rewrite a new one. While all that was told doesn't have to reopen. It's not always what you see, but what you believe and think. The words that you allow to manifest and speak. Survivors of the journey. While one fails to appreciate life, you're living through your own faith in the fight. Where every day it's another challenge to handle what's in the way of a positive insight. Where you once were, you're no longer there, as the light has carried you through those darkest of nights. Survivors of the journey. One of the special ones that knows about holding on. It's the answers to your prayers that make you more strong. Not your hair, but the cares of others who hug you with loving arms. A sisterhood on one accord. The encouragement you don't get, well, is given from one with the same journey as yours. Survivors of the journey. A walking book moving on. I said a walking book moving on. If your story is never told, then no one will ever know. Who will plan a new beginning after an end? Who will understand your I wills and I cans? What man will feel your pain and lend his hand? To every daughter, sister, and mother, you are more than worthy. You are survivors of the journey.
So we're moving quite along. The poets are running with these words and these metaphors and these similes. And I'm just like, man, if we can continue this on, I think we need to do this more often, man. Like really, you know, I'm really excited about what's happening.
It's a great thing. Great format, great ideology, great outlet. It's win-win-win all around, man. Because you're benefiting our foundation, but these poets, I mean, I can feel what they're getting out of it too. You know, so they're getting something out of being a part of this, and being heard and being seen. And it's amazing stuff that's going on right now, man. I like it. Yeah.
You know, I started fighting cancer with poetry like, man, wow. It's been 8 years. It's been 8 years. You know, a good friend of mine, Justin Islar, was diagnosed in the year, what was it? 2005, I believe. He was 18, freshman year in college at Coppin State University. You know, freshman year, you're excited. You know, you just left home. You got your future ahead of you. You're about to enjoy college, you know, and he got that diagnosis. And it wasn't until after he was diagnosed did he start writing poetry. Again, diagnosed at 18, but 7 years later of osteosarcoma, he passed away at the age of 25. But in that span of living and fighting, he was writing. He wrote 12 amazing spoken word pieces, chronicling his story, his journey with cancer. And you know, it wasn't until after he passed that his mother, Sheila Islar, I call her moms, you know, we stay close. She told me that he didn't start writing until after he was diagnosed. And I thought he'd been writing all his life because he was that good.
That good, huh?
He was that good, yeah. And so, you know, when he passed, I asked his mother if I could do the honors of writing the obituary poem, you know, the poem in the back of the bulletin, but also could I recite it at the funeral? And she obliged, and I had to ask her, you know, something hard. I was like, you know, in order for me to do this, you're going to have to tell me about Justin, like just, you know, just talk, just pour out. And it was hard for her, but it was good for her, right? And so I was able to translate what she shared with me into the poem that is. And you know, a year later after his passing, you know, he passed January 2nd. So that's New Year's, right? And so that would be their first anniversary. So I wanted to make sure that they had family and friends to surround them for the first, anniversary of his passing, because I knew it would be super hard. And so I was going to do something at their house, but more and more people heard about it, and they were like, I want to come, I want to participate, I want to, and so, okay, all right, this is getting huge, and I don't think they can hold 75 people at their house.
Right.
And so end up renting the basement of a church, and man, I think it was about 200 people in there. Oh, wow. And we raised like $4,000 and donated it to the Sarcoma Foundation of America. That's the organization that he was working with and was working with him. And just to see where this has come, we started a nonprofit, but now we kind of transitioned from Fighting Cancer with Poetry being a nonprofit to a subsidiary of the Poet Life, because as you can tell with the Poet Life, we're able to do a lot more, right, in a lot of different paths and lanes. And so, but we wanted to make sure we still had Fighting Cancer with Poetry under our belt, and because we love what we were doing in that realm. And so this is where we are now, 8 years later, man. And if you're out there and you can't be the poet today, be the poem. Oh. Donate now at stillbrave.org. And let's move forward. I think we have a few more poets, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say. Let's check them out.
Me too.
Hi everyone, my name is Shania Taylor, and thank you for this opportunity to submit a video. I started my public health career as a patient navigator, and I used to work with breast and cervical cancer patients, helping them along their journey from sort of diagnosis to recovery and remission. And so I wrote this particular piece because I began to really empathize and feel the pain of one of my patients that got diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was my age. So this poem has been a lot to me throughout the years because some of my close family members have since gone on to be diagnosed with breast cancer and pass away. The name of this poem is I Am a Survivor, and it takes on the persona of someone that has just been diagnosed with breast cancer. I am dying of stress. People tell me that I should be proud I'm still alive. I say that all depends on your definition of living, for I have no quality of life. How did I arrive at this point? Early detection is the best protection, and I think of this phrase as I take my 5th chemo injection. I am the sister who worked all the time and never took time for herself. Walked around invincible, not really concerned for her health. My investment in others superseded my interest in self, and now I am suffocating. My hair follicles dissipating. My immune system has become incapacitating. I walk through life under some sort of spell. Everybody's mess bottled up inside, and I constantly wanted to yell, but nobody would listen, for I had a story to tell. Imprisoned by the mundane and routine, to the outsider it would seem that I had my life together. I was prepared for any catastrophe, no matter the weather. Never mind that I wasn't feeling my best. Blatantly ignoring the pain in my chest. Never taking the time to feel the growth beneath my breast. My body becoming increasingly tired, but I dismissed it as deprivation of rest. I wish I would have listened. Talk about misplaced ambition. I wish I heeded the signs and paid attention. Regarded my health as primary and taken time for prevention. I wished I learned to delegate responsibility, especially when the resources were there. I wish I would have stopped expecting people to care, because people have used me, and so they used me up, dragged me through the mud and never looked up. But enough is enough, and I am worth being nurtured. It's time out for being emotionally tortured. So as I sit here strapped to this radiation machine, I contemplate what I want my life to really mean. I will no longer be silent. I'm using my time left to let it out, tell my story. Despite this chemo-induced metal taste in my mouth, stress got me. Cancer is just another name. Constant wear and tear on my body made my cells go insane. I realized that the harm that we do to our bodies today manifests itself later in the form of illness in some way. So as I bent my arthritic knees to pray, God told me that I can no longer let the pressures of others drain my life away. For stress consumed my inner being. It blurred my vision and prohibited me from seeing the true gift of living. It prevented me from learning how to be reasonable in my giving. Cancer doesn't run in my family. It wasn't passed through the birth canal by my mother having me. It wasn't the result of my genetic code, nor was it predestined to attack my lymph nodes. This illness is just the result of life taking its toll, neglecting self, the name of my movie, and I have assumed the leading role. But today I feel empowered from the depths of my soul to save a life. Even if it isn't my own, yours, my brothers and sisters, will suffice. So as I feel this poison running through my vein, today I am forever changed. I am encouraged and convinced and have faith that I am healing on the inside. So I say it loud with pride and with God by my side, I will survive.
I just love hearing poets pour out and write what's on their heart, man. And that's what this person just did. What did you think?
Well, I love it. You know, we're lucky, you and I, because we have these great establishments here in the DMV called Busboys and Poets.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is to go in and just listen to the open mic nights, you know, and this is kind of reminding me of that, because the people that show up for open mic nights, they're just regular folks like you and me, you know what I mean? But they're not regular folks. They're bigger than life when you're listening to them pour their heart out. This is very reminiscent of a Busboys and Poet thing. It's almost like a virtual Busboys and Poet kind of thing for me. I'm really digging it.
Indeed. Love it. I love it, man. That is the power of the internet. And, you know, the biggest thing is to leverage, you know, the resources that you have. And that's what we're doing, you know, for the most part. So, look, we're not going to behold, folks. I want to make sure that we keep on going and make sure that we get everybody in. This is Fighting Cancer with Poetry under the auspices of the Poet Life. And this is a Poetry-A-Thon. And we are donating the proceeds of this event to stillbrave.org. Go there now, stillbrave.org, and donate whatever you can. $5, $10, $1,000. Do what you can. Let's check out the next poem.
All right.
Cancer was the diagnosis, turning one of the most beautiful smiles I've grown to know into a frown. Cancer is one of the most painful nouns that I refuse to speak into existence, because no matter what doctors be predicting, only God can change your position. But in order for that to work, when God be speaking, we sometimes need to just shut up and listen. But at times, you know, fear be louder than faith. Subconsciously thinking what we fear just might be our fate. But when adversity be standing in your way, sometimes the only way around it is to drop to your knees and pray. Because the more I've grown, I've come to know that even when God seems to take away, he never does so without giving you something in return that will put you in a better space. See, doctors only speak what their medical degrees told them to say, but true healing comes from the hands of his saving grace. Making it easier for you to smile through all that pain. The chemotherapy and radiation was supposed to bring. Got doctors scratching their head, they just can't explain. The medication ain't never worked this good before. But what they must don't realize is nothing is impossible when it comes to the hands of the Lord. Hospital bills get paid, the insurance company says you can never afford. But all that shows is you should never put faith in a man, but rather in someone that made him be. And as I grow through life, I've come to see that God moves in mysterious ways. Never when you feel you need to see his face, but always knows exactly when your life needs his saving grace. See, prayers are answered long before the amens, and miracles can't be explained. It just is. Making it easier for me to stare cancer directly in the eyes. But please don't mistake these tears for pain, but more so a celebration of lives who had the courage to fight for their own. So I refuse to view cancer as the end, but only a journey on your way home. I love you, Mom.
This event has been absolutely amazing, man. When I had this idea, it was because every October we make sure that we go big or go home when it comes to cancer, man. And so usually it's in person. We call them Poetry Jam fundraisers, and we utilize Busboys and Poets. We have a partnership with Busboys and Poets.
Great people.
And yeah, most definitely. And when we pivoted, basically. So COVID hit. All right, we still got to do it.
That's right. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing too. We're not going to let COVID stop us. We're just going to be creative. Charles Darwin said, it's not the most intelligent or the strongest of the species that survives. It's the one that's most adaptable to change. Right. So that's what we're both doing. I think you and I are both doing that right now. We're trying to adapt. We're trying to overcome. We're trying to look at new angles that we can keep doing what we're doing, with COVID and things like that. And you're doing a great job. I got to be honest with you. This thing has really exceeded my expectations of what I expected.
Mine too.
I'm blown away. I'm so glad to be a part of this, man. I'm really, really glad that you chose Stillbrave. But more than that, I'm glad that I got to be a part of it personally. I'm glad that it wasn't just, okay, do it, Christoph. I'm glad that I was in it.
Yes.
That I was part of the poem.
Yeah.
What did we do? We wrote a poem today.
Yeah. I think it was meant to be.
I feel it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was meant to be, the thought of the event, the thought of Stillbrave, and the poets that thought it not robbery to submit a poem.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is the Poetry-A-Thon, the first and not the last.
I can't believe it's the last, man. This is good. This is good stuff.
Yeah, definitely, man. So folks out there, again, as you've seen, share this with your family and friends, and let it not stop here, right? This is social media. We can share it. It doesn't have to be, a physical event where we can't share it. You can share it. That means more people can donate and become aware of childhood cancer and all of the information that we've presented tonight. So if you don't mind, please share, like, comment, but also donate at stillbrave.org. I'm gonna keep saying it's stillbrave.org so it sticks in your head, right? You got to say it 3 times for it to stick. So stillbrave.org, stillbrave.org, stillbrave.org. It's been an awesome night. I want to say thank you to Tattoo Tom and the Stillbrave tribe. I know you're out there watching. And so I'm really excited about, the start of something, and this something here is something else.
Yep. Listen, I want to thank you, Christoph, personally for allowing me to be a part of this, for choosing Stillbrave. I want to thank you for all the good that you do with the poet life, because you're touching lives in profound and impactful ways. And that's what we need right now. With this country being so wacky and polarized, we need people that are going to come together and unite us. And you're doing that, particularly with the kids. Like, I pay close attention to people who are touching the lives of children, and I see it does not escape me what you're doing. And I'm extremely grateful for you, for the opportunity to be here with the Poet Life today, and also for everybody out here that's watched, that suffered through you and I's back and forth, because I think you and I had a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I hope that people feel that and they have fun too. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my everything. And then I'll leave you with what seems to be our catchphrase of the day, right? If you can't be the poet,
be the poem. You heard it. It's the Poet Life, everybody. Thank you all for watching. And again, please donate now to stillbrave.org. You all have a good night.
All right, Christoph.
Talk to you, Tom.